we also had a little bit of a bad rap in the solar industry, especially when it comes to end consumers getting pitched. Now, I think with the evolution of tools and with the help of AI, we can make it really, really simple for the customer to actually interact with a highly intelligent AI system without anybody's interaction.
One, two, three, four.
Welcome to another episode of the Soliverse Podcast. I'm joined here today by none other than Surya Potharaju from Arka Energy. Surya, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Peter. Very happy to join you on this podcast today. Thank you for inviting Arka.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, Surya, I have a little bit of a curveball starting question for you already. So, you built Arka Energy at the intersection of solar and smart tech. So, let me start with this. What problem in solar keeps you up at night?
That is interesting. We did talk about solar's dependence on policy and incentives for a little while now. And right now there is a big upheaval going on in the U.S. markets with the sudden policy reversals and the abrupt change in policy for tax credits. Yes, it is a difficult time for solar industry as an overall. And what keeps me up at night is how quickly the solar industry can really realize what is its core strength and align itself into new business models, equip itself with new tools so that it can continue to deliver very efficient energy solutions to the world. Whether it's at the residential or the small commercial or even the utility scale, solar is now the cheapest source of energy. And we need to find ourselves new business models that can help us take that message to the homeowners and to the end consumers and really become an integral part of energy stack everywhere everywhere on the planet. So what keeps me up really is how the industry comes together, how we can actually find new tools and new ways to do better in the face of these adverse policy changes.
You mentioned how the industry comes together. This is actually a common theme that keeps coming back both on the podcast and everywhere in the media as well, that, we have the solar industry, which is quite siloed, and we sometimes forget about the fact that we actually need to build and deliver end-to-end energy solutions, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just stacking the panels and forgetting about the whole thing, but we actually really need to think about the battery packs, how it connects to the grid, etc. What's your opinion on this? How do you and ARCA approach this?
Yeah, I mean, integral to delivering end-to-end solutions is not just thinking about what we have to offer as a component provider or as an integrator or even as a financing partner. Solutions end-to-end really first need to start at educating the customer about delivering the core value. Solar and solar plus storage is inherently going to be the cheapest source, and it's going to be easier for us to align ourselves alongside new business models. And to begin with, solar always has been driven by financial engineering for the last 25 years or so. That was because it was the case. I mean, it was not a cheapest source, but once it has become the cheapest source of electricity, we didn't really change our business model. We still have been working in the primary segment that I have been involved in, which is the residential and small commercial segment. It has mainly been an electrical contractor activity, ad hoc, putting up of solutions together, patching panels, inverters, and racking together and trying to see if the system works. Now, it's got a little more complicated with addition of storage, and now we need to align ourselves with a robust software platform. And that has been the core of ARCA right from the beginning. You cannot solve the problems, you cannot improve the system efficiencies, you cannot improve installation efficiency, you cannot reduce costs unless you have a robust software platform. There have been software platforms helping with the design piece. There have been software platforms with piecemeal solutions alongside. But I think it's time that you bring everything from initial customer interaction and initial customer education all the way to monitoring a system throughout its life onto a single platform. And that has been the backbone of what we have done at Arca. And we've invested significantly in our software platform. And today we can and we are actually already taking that to the market with our own solutions rollout. We deliver end-to-end solutions, starting from initial customer interactions on social media, all the way to getting a system installed and commissioned. All of that is done on Arca 360, our software platform.
And maybe just let's take a trip down memory lane. So, can you explain how did software work in solar back in the day when you actually founded Arca, and how did you get to Arca 360 today, and what are the key differences?
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, the tools were mostly done in larger companies. I mean, companies which have been pioneers in the space have actually been investing in their own IT systems. And then they have been doing some kind of rudimentary tools and that slowly evolved out of CAD. AutoCAD being used for things because effectively everybody thought this was a construction activity. And so they have started actually using CAD tools. They integrated them, and then loosely energy yield analysis was built with rudimentary tools. And slowly we started to see the evolution of tools that can predict energy yield at a given time, at a given place. Now we've slowly started to combine all of that, and we have strong providers today who can actually like take GIS information, 2D maps, high definition maps, LiDAR data, and other additional GIS information, and then convert a rooftop image that you get normally from Google Maps and convert it into a full 3D model of the home. And we have evolved today to a stage where we can even like convert an entire roof into a solar roof within a matter of seconds, and then really predict what is going to be the energy yield over the 12 months given its geolocation. I think we have made massive progress in just modeling and making sure that the energy yield analysis is nearly within range, and it is really bankable. So I can take an analysis done on Arca 360 and give it to a financing partner and say, yes, this system is going to produce 12,000 kilowatt hours a year, and here's how the system can actually perform through the course of 12 months. Now, added to that, integrating this into the installation project management, adding the CRM to it, making sure that the customer also gets to understand all the value proposition even before we have actually had the initial site visit. Those things are also feasible right now. So the platform that we have built starts with helping the customer understand what's the value he's getting, what the customer can expect, and how quickly will the system pay for itself and save them money over its lifetime, 25 to 30 years.
You mentioned two keywords that struck me. The first one is customer, and the second one is education. So I can imagine, if you speak to the average Joe of the street and you're trying to pitch them, hey, let's put solar on your roof, it might be quite challenging to break down the complexity and the technical terms into something that's really easy to grasp. So how would you explain that, or how do you guys go around this, explaining that to a 5-year-old?
Yeah, it is actually, it was a challenge, and it has always been that way. And we also had a little bit of a bad rap in the solar industry, especially when it comes to end consumers getting pitched across what's called the kitchen table sale and the door knockers. Now, I think with the evolution of tools and with the help of AI, we can make it really, really simple for the homeowners and the end consumers to understand. And we can even do it in a quick chat style. It's all the rage right now, but actually it makes a lot of sense. For the customer to actually interact with a highly intelligent AI system and learn about his own energy usage and see how solar can help him is really going to take away all the biases that we have. So there is no person with a fixed incentive trying to sell a solution, but the automated tools really help the customer understand how he can benefit from solar without anybody's interaction. And that's between him and a machine. And if we can develop those systems, and which we already are having in place and we'll roll out shortly, but such systems can really help the customer get educated really fast. I mean, in a simple chat GPT style, a person can ask our tool how solar can help him, and just provide him with very basic information, name, address, and the location of his house. And then we can actually like go over, get a preliminary data on their energy consumption, and the system can really be designed and can be articulated to the homeowner right away in a matter of few seconds, and tell him how solar will save him money over the course of its life. That kind of tools can really be game changers, because now the customer is going to want the product instead of somebody trying to sell him a financial solution.
Yeah, pushing it on them.
The second thing is that in this education has always taken a back seat, because solar always was sold as a financial product. The utility value of solar was never really communicated to the end consumers. Putting aside the benefits to the environment and other things, solar does offer a lot of utility value when it is combined with other solutions, when it is combined with a roof, when it is combined with a shade structure, a carport. All of those utility values also add a significant, payback to the homeowners. And once we communicate all of these additional home values, I think there is a good chance that what we are today trying to push as a financial solution becomes a consumer want and a consumer need shortly. And that will going to change the way we have actually sold solar so far.
So basically you turn it upside down, and there is no more door knocking, but much more actually the customer choosing their solution and being able to evaluate on their own through the platform with the help of AI, whether it's actually worth it for them to get it or not.
Yeah, I mean, we do understand, and once the consumer does it by themselves and they do their own analysis, it empowers them to really think that, okay, yes, I know this is the size of the system I need. This is the kind of system I want to do it. Here is how it's going to look like. And once that is provided, it is easier to connect themselves with. I mean, you can think of like going to shop on Amazon and really compare products, really compare systems that the homeowner needs. And if you can do that and make it easier for the customer, end consumer, to understand without anybody involved, it's going to empower them. And now there is no longer a case of like somebody trying to sell a solution with any kind of like a false claims. And that is a significant game changer for the entire industry.
Yeah, I mean that is huge compared to the door-to-door knocking and trying to push something on people that they don't want or need, as opposed to people being able to actually evaluate the system, think about how it makes sense, and then ultimately, what we sometimes forget in solar is that we start somewhere at the beginning or the middle of the process, and we forget about the end results, which are the financials, right? So if we start with investment X will yield me Y return, basically you can work and reverse engineer the whole process from there backwards. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, that is the way we should probably be approaching it. Now that there is no involvement, there is no false promises, the customer can actually determine to what level they would like to be energy independent. And with storage specifically, one can basically say, I want to build a system that is modular and scalable, and then add more storage as time goes by. So the education that the customer has is, today my consumption is this. I have one EV. My home consumes this much energy every day and every month. And so for me, the correct system, I can ask ARCA 360 to design it for me, and ARCA 360 spits out, you need 6 kilowatts of PV and you need 20 kilowatt hours of storage. Now I can tell the tool and say, hey, what happens if I want to get an EV more? Then we can still do the analysis. And then we can just say, hey, I want to be free of any power shutdowns and be energy independent for 3 days. Then the system can still take that into consideration, and all the while is showing them the financial benefits as well as the costs and the upfront costs. So the customer is in the know, and there is no third person involved here. And that will really help do exactly what you've been suggesting, is to like tell the customer, put the customer in control and say, I know what I want. And once the system is designed, it makes it easier even for the installer and the sales partner of ours, because then they are not trying to educate the customer on the fly. The customer is already well aware of what he wants. And then the discussion mainly becomes a choice of the equipment. And then the discussion becomes mainly a choice of when they want to do it and, take it from there and improve the efficiency overall. So it's going to be a good change because educating the customer and the customer being in control always makes a vast difference to any industry. And I think we should be there shortly.
Makes sense. And if you're thinking more on the residential scale and community solar, I read it recently that over 50% of energy produced is actually lost in transmission. So if we can really become prosumers and consume the energy that we produce, that's actually maximizing the energy and doubles the energy produced by two immediately, right? Because we don't need to send it anywhere.
Yeah, transmission losses are not that drastic at 50%, but yes, they are a significant factor in there. And moreover, the grid resiliency and the constant gridding, I mean, most of the grids require upgrade in any place because of the continuous changing nature of like the energy demands, changing climatic conditions, and we are seeing more inclement weather impacts and all of that stuff. But producing energy at the place where you consume is probably going to be the most efficient, and that's one of the advantages that we have for residential, community, and small commercial solar. You consume what you produce, and as long as you do it efficiently with good systems that are designed well for your needs, it's going to significantly reduce the stuff. And also, it might benefit the grid overall because now every home is not just a consumer. It might also help the grid go through high and peak demand times. That's because the storage is now added. So the combination of a good system solution that is designed to meet the needs can work both the ways, can benefit the customer and also like benefit the grid.
Makes sense. I really hope we get there as soon as possible.
There are. I mean, this is not hypothetical in many cases. I mean, many countries already have like made significant progress in that one, and Europe certainly, I mean, is well ahead of other places. There are countries which actually have adopted. Nothing is much said about the Asian countries, but they have made significant progress on their side too. In all emerging countries, there is a strong focus on renewable energy. So whether the bellwethers and the large economies take it seriously or not, nobody can stop the technology once it's economically viable. And that is a time for solar. And I hope with the game-changing solutions that we have introduced, and many of our co-participants in the industry are doing it, I think there is a fair chance that we might even be able to do it significantly in the US.
Oh, for sure, I believe so. And Surya, let's segue a little bit more into you. So let's talk about your motivation. How did you actually get started in solar?
Oh, that's a great question, and my background is in semiconductors. I'm a chip design engineer. I worked in media processors and general computing systems for a long while. Systems always have been my passion, and right around the time when I've been spending a lot of time in consumer electronics, doing video compression, I've always been very fascinated about like developing technology that has massive social impact. And coming from my background, growing up in India, I always saw firsthand how energy changes people's lives, and it has always been a quest of mine to make energy more accessible in every part of the planet. And even then, it's been fascinating for me when I met some of my mentors here in Silicon Valley and talked to one of them, and he just said like, that's a very good thing for you to do, and you have the necessary background. Why don't you look at solar technology? And he introduced me to a few people who educated me about how solar works. And coming from semiconductor background, it actually was very easy to adapt to the solar because everything in solar is systems and semis. That really got me going. And post my MBA from Chicago Booth, I directly went into developing inverters for residential scale microinverters and DC converters. I actually started with DC converters and then moved into microinverters. That has been the primary motivation to make energy more accessible because it's a game changer and you can see people's lives transform. Energy is everything, and to have the cheapest source of energy really empowers humanity. And that's been the primary motivation for me. And I'm so happy about having made that shift, because I was enjoying my role in semiconductors. I had massive fun developing chips and media systems, but this is as much fun, if not more, and it's more impactful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great start to start from the hardware side of things, right? And this was in what year?
This is in 2009, and this is 2008, 2009 when I was learning more about solar. I probably was a late entrant into the solar industry with SunPower and others was already like well underway, and a lot of semiconductor executives were actually like moving into clean tech at the time. It made a great difference to the industry, I should say, because we adapted most of the principles that we have in semiconductors back into solar, and the idea for Arca 360 is no short of like that stuff. We develop our own EDA tools for the semiconductor industry, which probably like was a big thing, and we did the same thing now for solar. So I think we are at the inflection point to make solar more accessible, and all of that is going to be driven by our software tools.
Yeah, and speaking of the company and scaling, you guys are serving now over 40 countries, and what would be the number of customers?
Yeah, we're doing about 1,200 customers in worldwide. We have about a good number of customers actually like growing in the US, but we actually have tier one partners in India, Tata Power Solar, Reliance, Mahindra, many of the other tier one players in India are actually Arca 360 customers, and we have continuously like served them with advanced tools. We've actually like leveraged their customer interactions and try to help them serve their customers better. And in the process, we learned a lot about how to doing this. And right now, we have not really launched a massive marketing campaign, but Arca 360 gets customers just out of search. People just come to us and then just adapt our tool. I wish we had put more effort into it, but we have served customers in Europe, we've served customers in Southeast Asia, Middle East, India, and in the US right now. So the tool in itself is agnostic to where the locations are, because our engine runs everywhere. And the wrappers that we have developed around CRM and other things need probably a little bit of tuning to the local markets just because of the languages. But other than that, the tool can be used anywhere on the planet right now.
And if you had to pick one lesson or lessons scaling the company that you wish you knew at the time you actually encountered them, what would they be and why?
It's a lot more about like educating the customers and about your products. I mean, the more customer interaction you have, the more better it is, right? I mean, this development activity cannot be done by talking to the customer and going back into a shell and coming back 6 months later with an MVP. That doesn't work anymore. You need to start interacting, and you need to like tell the customers and put your tool into their hands, and solicit their feedback and scale it much, much faster. Because what refines and makes your tool more useful to the customers is how quickly you listen to their feedback, how quickly you add features, how quickly you can solve some of their problems and really make it work for them. That's the thing. So we might have had a little resource constraint in doing this as fast as we wanted. So one key lesson that I probably will take with me is to always have the necessary bench strength to do development as fast as you can and get back to the customers with new features.
And speaking of developing features, I know it's the customer is asking for many, many things, but you somehow need to prioritize, right? What makes business sense for you as well. What is your mantra? How do you approach this?
Yeah, it's always been, I've been very fortunate to both have mentors and team members who've actually been very objective and rational about like doing prioritization, and also their own experience in developing the software platforms has come really handy. It's all about the team. And I have to give credit to Arca's team, the development team, the product management team, and to the salespeople who actually have always kept us really close to the customers and come back. There was this one instance, and I can share it with you. One of our customers out of Europe came and told us like, hey, we have a requirement to do normally all systems are designed south facing, and the north south is typically what we do. But there are some places where we would like to like swap this and do an east west system, and we want your tool to help us like roll out a feature where we can do the east west. So we took it up as a challenge, and we rolled out a feature within the next 6 weeks that really helped the customer like start using our design tool to do even east-west systems. Those kinds of things are really like, provide a lot of value to the customer. And that really speaks volumes about our capabilities and our intentions of actually like being a best-in-class solution. I'm always looking for people saying, hey, can you do this? And can you really provide a challenging feature? Because those are the differentiators that'll put us in the best in class. And our quest is to be best in class. And we have been consistently like serving our customers. Yes, I mean, we've adapted the systems to the financials in India. We've adapted the systems to the financials in the US. We have dealt with AHJ requirements, and we have done like it. I mean, this on the surface, it looks like a very simple tool where somebody's going through a UI, UX, or an interactive tool. But beneath that, there is a lot of things that happen that are geographic specific, that are segment specific, and to do all of that on a single platform is something that is a testament to the engineering capability that we have at ARCA.
Makes sense. And when we are talking about customer feedback, what would you say is the most misunderstood thing about building solar for the residential market?
It's mostly understood as the solar being purely a financial product, and it bothers me a little because we've sold solar financially. I mean, we just sold them like, hey, you put money up front and it'll pay you back. And the utility values have been completely, shelved out, and nobody really understands what else can solar do, how it can really make your home grid independent, why that is important. So trying to build products that do not get the product empathy from the customers is something of a challenge. And that is true for rooftop solar, where you put something on the roof and you forget about it. And the most misunderstood thing is like, okay, I'm only going to look at it if my bill comes up again. And a lot of customers who had solar for 10, 12 years didn't even look at their systems, didn't perform any maintenance, didn't check on anything. And all of a sudden, they wake up one day and then say, oh, now I have true-up charges on my bill. I better check what's happening with my PV system. So there is complete lack of product empathy just because we sold it that way. We said it like, hey, you put in $20,000 and you're going to save this much over the next 10 years. In fact, the other way to think about is to think about solar as being part of your home energy system, as being part of your lifestyle, as being part of your day-to-day activities. And once you make that happen, the perception that it's something like of a water heater in your garage, which you only look at when it fails, is going to go away. And to create that product awareness and product empathy with the customers is something that I felt was always underrated and has not been done in the right way.
And of course, if you can plug in a kind of fun software solution as well, where you have an app on your phone that you can check and makes it a little bit more easy and entertaining for the customer to keep an eye on their systems, that's also a big part.
Oh, totally. I think now we have tools that can. Yeah, now we have tools that it's a massive thing. Apps that tell you that you have got a PV system, you've got an energy storage, you got usage from the grid, you got your EV. All of them are interacting. You are in control. You can really decide what to do and how to be in control of your energy needs. That is really going to be a thing, but it's still pretty early. People do not take energy because in many places energy is taken for granted, and you don't talk about energy unless you have inclement weather and you have lost power, and that's when you realize that okay, there is something that you want to do. But I think I have more hope with the coming generation systems that can empower the homeowner, provide alerts, communicate with that. And in California, we actually have public safety power shutdowns, and these shutdowns can now be integrated with the software systems and provide an alert to the homeowner and say there is a PSPS alerted for your area. I'm going to make sure that you conserve your energy, and I'm going to charge your batteries so that you can go without the grid for 2 days. I think making this more interactive and providing those kinds of smart solutions, really smart solutions that put the customer in control and less at disadvantage, those things could be really, really advantageous. And I think being the personal home energy system is possible, and systems that can deliver those kinds of values will be highly valued with the customer.
And what do you think, or what do you feel makes a smart system smart? Where does it become smart? How does it help the customer?
It just understands the customer's requirements. It just understands the changing environment, and it allows the customer to be in control and makes the smart decisions for this one. And like I mentioned, in the future, if you have EV and if you have energy system at the home, the interaction between all of these energy systems to one, obviously make the cost of electricity cheapest is going to be the primary motivation, but also keeping the homeowner in control with changing environments, changing climatic events, and adverse climatic events, and helping him make those decisions on the fly without him having to like physically resort to like going and flipping switches. All of that is possible today, and I think those smart systems with a single touch can really keep the customer aware of what's going to happen, how the system is actually monitoring, how the system is conserving energy for him, and how the system is storing the energy for him. All of those controls, just keeping him informed and making the decisions for him, is all going to be about AI smarts on energy.
And speaking of smart systems, what are you most excited about? What's coming from ARCA this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're actually like trying to do is bridging the customer and putting the customer in charge. Like I explained earlier, trying to make the customer decide what exact systems they want without any bias or a push to sell is going to be a game changer, and it's going to put us on the block. We believe that by making the customer decide for himself what kind of a system is better for him will really enable us to save a lot of time, and customer acquisition becomes easier for an installer partner, because now he doesn't have to explain to the customer what are the advantages of solar. He just has to like sit down with the customer and decide on what kind of an equipment and what kind of a smarts they are looking for. Much of the rudimentary work is already going to be done by our tool. So ARCA is going to launch an advanced, customer-centric system that is based on educating the customer directly in a free-form conversation form tool that will help the customer decide what kind of a PV system they need and how PV can help them save money or even improve their lifestyles. That's going to be our primary launch, and with that, I think 90% of the selling time, 90% of the selling costs are actually going to go away and turn the table from being a technology push to a consumer want. And that is what we are going to launch shortly. So ARCA 360 will soon come out with like interactive tools where UI will be relegated only to a small portion of design engineers who really have to look into systems only when complexities arise, and then 90% of the time the sales team, the end consumer, many people involved in operations will only have to decide on a few things and leave the system design completely to the tool.
Okay, so basically this is a first-class AI use case, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is adapting AI at multiple levels. This is adapting AI at the customer education. This is adapting AI at the CRM level. This is adapting AI to automatically determine roofs, automatically determine roof edges, boundaries, do the system design automatically, provide the customer with a sliding scale, approach to say, hey, I want to become 80% energy independent or 100% energy independent. I want 3 days backup, and decide all of that on the fly, and the system design is automatically done without anybody ever opening up a UI or a design studio.
Wow, and I assume then basically 90+% of this work will be done by the AI, and then you will only need to dig deeper into really complex cases where it's not so clear cut and where you have different parameters that don't really make sense.
That's the idea. And again, here, once the customer knows what they really want, and once the primary system design is done, the only thing that somebody needs to look at is if they want to increase, you want to change the equipment, if they want to have something in addition, or they find a specific upgrade needed after a site visit. Those are only going to be the cases. 90% of the time, the efficiency of the process improves in a big way, and we will use smarts at every step of the way, almost making UI history at this point. And interactive tools, smart AI, smart CRM, even keeping the customer informed about the changes and what's going to happen can all be done right from the tool. So we can do this just because we have already got all the necessary building blocks. We've got all the necessary building blocks to like really go ahead and really do these designs by themselves and automate the whole process from end to end.
Wow. And what would you say is your biggest headache today?
Uh, Obviously, the perceptions in the market, I think we need to overcome. I think the perceptions that okay, somehow the customer is losing some value is needs to be communicated. Of course, the numbers will change. They were getting tax credits, which they will not be getting right now. So the headache is actually like show people the real value of solar. Just the education piece is going to be difficult in the short term, but I think similar things have happened, similar upheavals have happened in solar previously, but eventually we were able to get back onto it and really provide value to the end customers. And providing that value is going to be always very helpful. And once that can be communicated effectively to the customer, I think we can win. But yes, always, like you said, right? I mean, the headlines grab a lot of attention, and then people are shaking their heads. Obviously, it's unfortunate of the policy reversal, but at the same time, I don't think we need to like sulk and give up. There's no reason to. There is a lot of value that we can still deliver.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, if you only think about the future as it was before, and if we only look at the hardware side of things, the modules, etc., everything is following Moore's law. So basically, next year, if we see a 1% improvement in terms of the production, that's already going to compensate for tax credit or not tax credit. It should make up for this. It's just a natural evolution, and there are some new technologies in pilots that I hope to be talking about on the podcast in the near future, that are really promising in terms of increasing 1 or 0.5% of production per module is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, in that context, I think it's also important to note that we at ARCA have always been thinking about adding utility value to solar, right? I mean, combining the systems with shade structures, combining the systems with roof, actually like make a lot of sense to the homeowner. Making it easier for the homeowners and the consumers to like add a combination product like a carport, where you have solar on the top and you already have this thing. You anyway need that shade structure, or you have a gazebo or a patio in the backyard. It adds utility value to your home, and on the side, you can just add solar on top of it. We have a lot of customers actually coming to us who have invested in solar systems in the last decade or so, or even the last 15 years, and are now coming to us and say, yes, I put a 3 kilowatt or a 4 kilowatt system in 2012. Now I want a 5 kilowatt system, but I can't put it on the roof. I need it on the ground, and so we are adding structures to them. So increasing those utility values also like helps people like get these systems with something more, and that's going to really help them realize that the utility value and the payback is not just dollars and cents. There is something more they're getting out of it. That's been our effort to like really go into it, and we are very hopeful that in future, partial roofs, full roofs, and everything can actually be converted to solar too. So it not only serves as a shade or a structure or a part of your building, but it also generates energy for you. I think that integration is going to be another game changer, because by the time you can rest assured that every roof has enough capability to like generate energy for the home and more.
Indeed, and I mean it's also going to increase the value of your home ultimately. So it's a good investment for yourself.
Great
Right?
point. Great point. Great point. It significantly increases the whole value of your home.
Indeed, indeed. And when we are talking about systems as a whole, where do you see the biggest bottlenecks of solar really reaching 100% market penetration on the residential side?
It's been mainly permitting, and I think solar is still considered as a construction activity and requiring permits from the local cities and counties actually has been throttling the solar industry for a very long time. There have been several initiatives, including the Solar App Plus and others, to simplify this process. But I think standardization and approvals of permits and this the speeding up of inspections is really going to be essential. And if we can find ways and tools to really get this done faster utilizing software, I think it's going to significantly help. Right now, the biggest bottleneck is permitting. You can do a design in a few minutes and get the customer to agree and do all of the contracts and everything online within a day. Just permit themselves take 3 to 4 weeks, and it doesn't have to take that way. There can be automated tools that can be added to help cities speed up permit approvals. There are already, this week, New Jersey announced a local initiative where they can instantly get a rooftop solar permit. I think if we can get to those kinds of initiatives, it's going to be a game changer, because then somebody can decide to have solar and they can have solar within a couple of weeks or even within a week, rather than having to wait 2 months.
Indeed, because the design process itself doesn't really take much, right? You can design the whole system in 30 minutes, and then you can install the system in half a day or maximum 1 day, right? For a residential home. Anything in between is just pure loss.
Yeah, I think the approval, that's one of the things that we have as an industry never really we helped ourselves, but we didn't really help the AHJs also. So maybe there is an opportunity for us to really help counties do the permit checks much faster and make that more automated than somebody having to legally look at A4 sheets and just get these A8 sheets to be reviewed on a manual time. If we can automate that process and make it simpler, we can standardize and ensure that every piece of equipment that's being put is well vet. And I think there is no reason to even slow that process down. And maybe there might be some activity where we can show physically the systems and provide even the permit inspectors to view the systems on software than submitting physical sheets. There are complexities involved in here, but if there is drive and if we have industry-wide initiatives, I think those problems can be solved quickly.
Do you see any interesting initiatives in terms of aligning workflows and standardizing those, maybe on a state level or even on the national level?
Yes, there are some initiatives in the US that have been spearheaded by NREL and Department of Energy, but they haven't been impactful to the max possible extent, and the progress has been a little slow. Their Solar App Plus is being adopted on a county by county basis, but if that can be done at a state level and can be mandated at a state level, like the state of New Jersey did this week, I think it'll really help. It'll really help speed up the process. It'll really help remove this critical bottleneck, and we can do it much, much faster.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's hope it goes that way. And when we are looking into the future, where do you see solar or residential solar in the next 5 years?
Definitely, it's going to be the case that retail electricity rates in many states in the US will actually be, going higher. We've already seen that the last decade, the rate at which electricity rates have increased in the 15 most top economic activity states, it has been over 8 to 10%. If that trend continues or might even get accelerated because of the AI data centers, then retail electricity rates will actually be challenging for many middle class homes. At that time, solar can offer the solution, and making homes energy resilient and energy independent is very much feasible. And I think we can see every home having solar as an integral part of its energy system in the next 5 years in at least the 15 to 20 states where electricity costs will be continuously rising. I see that being a greater part of the trend for the new homes being built because new homes not only have to be energy efficient, but also need to be equipped with their own energy systems. And I think that is where I see home solar actually like taking a big leap forward. Like any new home being built comes with its own energy generation system. And if that can be made, it'll add value to the homeowner. It'll make the home more resilient, and it'll add significant value, and it all can be part of the standard home buying process. And it's going to simplify everything. It's going to get integrated into the home construction as part of the regular electrical work and save everything, right? I mean, even the inspections and the permits, all of them become much, much more simpler. That I think is going to be the biggest driver. And we look forward to like supporting new home builders and even the retrofits in a big way and make every home have a energy system that's fully self-sufficient.
Maybe let's unpack this a little bit in greater detail. So most people don't really understand that if the energy consumed by AI and the data centers will be sucked away, right, from the grid, and the prices will increase, you really better make sure that you have your own energy system in place to be able to A, either have cheaper electricity, and B, have access to electricity, the sufficient amount, right?
Yeah, I mean, any kind of boom similar to the AI, and in my early years of my career, we saw the internet boom. But even then, whenever there are these kinds of newer technologies emerging, and suddenly data centers were showing up in the early 2000s, and now they're going to be AI data centers. And I read an interesting fact the other day that every Chat GPT query gets 1/3 of a unit of consumes 1/3 of unit of electricity, meaning that for every 3 Chat GPT queries is costing us 1 kWh. That is phenomenal energy consumption. And right now we are just getting started on AI, and I hope that the AI thing does go better. Maybe we'll not be consuming as much in the next few years, but at the same time, you can really believe that the number of queries are going to be in billions. So you need terawatt hours of energy to like really be produced, and that's going to suck up everything that we have, and it's going to challenge the existing energy generation in a big way. And it's going to put homeowners and consumers in a difficult spot because demand increase and sudden demand increase is going to really increase the electricity rates. So that's a thing that we need to be prepared for. And that's when I think the alternative or the so-called alternatives so far become mandatory energy systems at the home. Like you need to have backup, you need to have energy storage, you better have your own generation, otherwise nothing's going to work. Or you're going to pay significantly higher retail electricity rates. So it's going to come through.
Yeah, I mean the marketplace is a tricky one, right? It's a perfect distributor of whoever pays the most, and in this case, we better make sure that it's not the data centers who consume all the energy.
Yeah, and we've seen similar booms, and we have seen other things in places, and energy always needs to be it has to be a combination of sources. It cannot just be one. And I think it's more apparent right now, and it's not been the case in any part of the planet. But I think more and more we are aware of renewable energy sources and that are less impacted by geopolitical conditions. I think it's going to be much advantageous, and that's what everybody needs to move towards. And trying to make that single unit consumer at the home level become more energy resilient is going to be good for the economies.
For sure. And since we are coming to the close of our time, if you had one ask for the audience, what would you ask them in the name of ARCA and both yourself? What are you guys looking for?
Obviously, I mean, we obviously are looking to have people be more open and not provide political coloring to renewable energy. And I think it's time that people start to look at solar, wind, and every other form of energy generation based on their merits and what value they have to offer. So I would ask all your audience to really compare solutions that will be of advantage to them, that will bring economic value to them, that will deliver the utility value to them, rather than thinking of solar or other things under some kind of a political color. Beyond that, I think the technology evolution is very essential for us to make um, to make strides forward in our own day-to-day lifestyles. Energy storage will play a significant role in making sure that lifestyles always improve. And that is only feasible when the cost of energy stays at a nominal level. I wouldn't say completely low, but at a nominal level. And to make that happen, the only feasibility is to have a combination of energy sources. And certainly the solutions that ARCA delivers uh, are actually going to be very valuable in that sense. And we want people to evaluate things on economic merit and make the decision for themselves. And I'm pretty sure there is a lot of smart audience who actually already know about all of these things. I'm just maybe making the finer point on it. But in general, anybody that I've talked to who knows and sees the value of resilient, reliable energy systems at the home or at a commercial level really do understand that they deliver economic value. And it's been proven over and over in the last 2 decades, and it's going to be proven more in the coming 2 decades.
I couldn't agree more. And on a final note, what would be the best way to reach out to you or Arka?
Well, you can always find me on LinkedIn, and you can find Arka at arcaenergy.com. You can review our software platform at arca360.com. Yes, I mean, we are very accessible. Me and Arca's executive team have been participating in podcasts. We've always been running webinars, and we have been educating homeowners. You can always find us. And more importantly, I mean, in the US right now, we are on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. So all of our new tools, new product launches, and everything that we do is readily available for the audience to check out.
And we will also make sure that we link those in the show notes below.
Thank you.
Excellent, Surya. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge. It's been extremely valuable, both to me and the audience as well. Are there any final thoughts you would like to add before we wrap up?
No, I think I want to appreciate, Peter, you for running this podcast, right? I mean, I started off this conversation with empowering the customer, and these kinds of podcasts really, really help us get that message across. And I'm really glad that you have taken up the mantle to really provide a platform and bridge the audience to us. It gives me an opportunity to express what we are doing at ARCA, explain our charter, and explain our solutions. At the same time, I hope it's really informative and educative for your customers so that they can make the good decisions for themselves. So I really appreciate Soliverse and this podcast. You're doing a phenomenal job, my friend. I appreciate this greatly.
Thank you very much, Surya. That's the main point. We try to dig into interesting business stories in the solar space and different business models as well. And in the near future, we will also talk a little bit more about the solar technology itself. So that's going to be a little bit of a segue. But we are trying to bring the best content possible to the audience and help push solar forward.
You certainly are doing a good job on that one. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Surya. Let's wrap up and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity for ARCA.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.